Honey, my heart is very sad. Not in the dramatic way people show in movies. Not in the loud, breaking everything kind of way. It's sad in a quiet way. The kind that sits in your chest like a stone. The kind that makes you smile in front of everyone but collapse inside when you're alone. The kind that whispers your name at night when the world goes silent. I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I should begin with the truth I've been avoiding. I miss you, and it hurts more than I ever thought it would. When we were together, I didn't realize how much of my happiness was tied to you. Not in a dependent way, not in a way that felt unhealthy, but in the way sunlight quietly becomes part of your everyday life. You were part of my normal. My mornings felt lighter because I knew I could text you. My afternoons felt shorter because I could hear your voice. My nights felt softer because I knew you were thinking of me too. Now everything feels heavier, even the simple things, especially the simple things. Honey, my heart is very sad because I don't know when things changed. We didn't explode. We didn't destroy each other with anger. We just drifted, and sometimes drifting feels crueler than fighting. At least fights have passion. At least fights mean both people still care enough to argue. But drifting feels like watching someone slowly fade from your life while you're still standing there, loving them the same way. I replay our last few weeks together more than I should. Your messages became shorter. Your calls became less frequent. Your laughter didn't sound as free. And I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself love has phases. I told myself not to be too much. So I stayed quiet. I swallowed my fears. I pretended not to notice the space growing between us because I was scared that if I pointed it out, it would become real. And now it is. Honey, my heart is very sad because I tried so hard to be strong for us. When I felt insecure, I didn't show it. When I felt scared of losing you, I kept it inside. When I needed reassurance, I convinced myself not to ask. I thought being low maintenance would make you stay. I thought not complaining would make me easier to love. But love isn't about being easy. It's about being honest. And I wasn't honest about how deeply I loved you or how terrified I was of losing you. Do you know what hurts the most? It's not just that you're gone. It's that I don't know if you miss me the way I miss you. I don't know if your heart is sad too. I don't know if you ever lie awake thinking about our conversations, our jokes, the way we used to talk about the future, like it was already promised. Sometimes I wish I could ask you, but I'm afraid of the answer. Because if you say you've moved on easily, I don't think my heart could handle that. Honey, my heart is very sad because I built dreams around you. I imagined simple things, cooking together, arguing about what movie to watch, falling asleep mid-conversation, growing older side by side. They weren't extravagant dreams. They were soft ones, real ones, and now they feel like unfinished stories. I keep remembering the first time you held my hand, how natural it felt, how safe. I didn't know then that safety could disappear so quietly, that something that once felt permanent could become fragile. You once told me I felt like home. Do you still feel that way? Or did I become just another memory? That question lingers in my chest like an ache that doesn't go away. Honey, my heart is very sad because I blame myself sometimes. Maybe I wasn't expressive enough. Maybe I didn't fight hard enough. Maybe I gave you too much space when I should have held you closer. Maybe I let pride win when vulnerability would have saved us. It's easy to replay mistakes when you're alone. It's easy to rewrite conversations in your head, to imagine better responses, better timing, better courage. But life doesn't allow edits, it only allows lessons. There are days I feel strong, days I tell myself if it was meant to be, it would have stayed. Days I convince myself that love shouldn't feel uncertain. But then there are nights, and nights are honest. At night, I don't pretend. At night, I admit that I still love you, that my heart still reacts when I see your name, that I still check if you're online, that I still wonder if you're happy. And yes, at night, my heart feels very, very sad. What hurts is that I never stopped caring, even when we argued, even when we misunderstood each other, even when I felt distant. My love didn't disappear, it just became quieter. And maybe that was the problem. Maybe love needs to be loud sometimes. Maybe it needs to be expressed, not just felt. I felt everything deeply, but I didn't always show it. And now I wish I had. Honey, my heart is very sad because I let you walk away without telling you how much you meant to me. I acted strong. I nodded when you said, maybe we needed space. I said, I understand. But inside, I was screaming. I wanted to say, please don't go. I wanted to say, we can fix this. I wanted to say, I still choose you. But I was afraid of sounding desperate, afraid of pushing you further away. So I stayed composed and cried later. Sometimes I wonder if you think I didn't care enough to fight. But the truth is, I cared so much that I didn't want to force you to stay. Love shouldn't feel like pressure. It should feel like choice. And I wanted you to choose me freely. Not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but because you wanted to. Maybe you didn't. And that's what makes my heart sad. I don't hate you. That's the strange part. Even in pain, I don't hate you. I still want you to succeed, to smile, to feel loved, even if that love isn't from me. That's how I know what I felt was real, because resentment didn't replace it, sadness did. Honey, my heart is very sad, but it's also learning. Learning that love requires two people moving toward each other, not one standing still while the other walks away. Learning that silence doesn't protect relationships, it weakens them. Learning that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's necessary. If I ever love again, I won't hide my fears. I won't pretend I'm okay when I'm not. I won't let pride silence my heart. You taught me that even in leaving, there's a part of me that still hopes, not in a desperate way, but in a quiet, soft way. Hopes that maybe one day we'll talk honestly. Hopes that maybe time will soften whatever distance grew between us. Hopes that maybe our story isn't completely finished. But if it is, if this is truly the end, then I want you to know something. You were real to me. You mattered. You changed me. And even though my heart is very sad right now, I don't regret loving you, because loving you showed me how deeply I'm capable of feeling, and that's not something I'm ashamed of. Honey, my heart is very sad, but it's still beating, still hoping, still healing. Maybe slowly, maybe painfully, but it's learning to carry love without collapsing under its absence. And if one day you ever wonder whether you were loved sincerely, the answer is yes. Completely, even now, even through the sadness, even through the silence. My heart is sad, but it's still yours in the softest corner of it. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Honey, my heart is still very sad. I thought writing it out would make it lighter. I thought admitting it would somehow make it easier to carry. But sadness doesn't disappear just because you give it a name. It stays. It settles in small corners of your day, in the pauses between conversations, in the silence before sleep, in the moments when your hand reaches for your phone without thinking, and then remembers, I never told you how much I depended on your presence, not in a way that made me weak, but in a way that made life warmer. You were the person I wanted to tell everything to. The small victories, the random thoughts, the things that didn't matter to anyone else. Now I catch myself forming messages in my head and then stopping halfway because you're not there to receive them anymore. That realization hurts in a quiet, steady way. Honey, my heart is very sad because I didn't see the end coming clearly. There were signs, yes, but I chose hope over fear. I chose trust over doubt. I believed that whatever distance appeared between us was temporary. I believed love was stronger than confusion. Maybe it is, but only when both people hold on to it with equal strength. And somewhere along the way, our grip loosened, or maybe yours did. First, I keep asking myself questions I don't have answers to. Did you fall out of love slowly? Did you struggle before you decided to step back? Did you hope I would fight harder? Or were you already tired of trying? These questions don't scream, they whisper. And whispers are harder to silence. There's something I need to admit. I was scared to lose you long before you left. I just didn't say it. I noticed when your energy changed, when your messages felt different, when you seemed distracted. But instead of saying, "Are we okay?" I said, "It's fine," because I didn't want to seem insecure, because I didn't want to push you away with my fears. But maybe honesty would have brought us closer. Maybe silence created more distance than truth ever could. Honey, my heart is very sad because I still care about you. That hasn't changed. I still wonder if you're eating properly, if you're sleeping enough, if something good happened to you today, and I don't know what to do with that care now. It has nowhere to go. It just stays inside me, heavy, unspoken, unreceived. There are moments when I almost convince myself I'm okay, when I laugh genuinely, when I get distracted, when I feel normal again. But then something small reminds me of you, a song we used to like, a place we once visited, a phrase you used often, and suddenly the sadness returns, not violently, just enough to remind me that you were once a big part of my world. I don't blame you entirely. That's the hardest truth. It would be easier if you could say you were wrong and I was right. But love is rarely that simple. We both made mistakes. We both stayed quiet when we should have spoken. We both expected the other to understand without explaining. And misunderstandings grow faster than we realize. Honey, my heart is very sad because I wish we had one more honest conversation. One where we dropped pride. One where we admitted fears. One where we said exactly what we felt without worrying about sounding weak. Maybe it wouldn't have changed the ending, but at least it would have given us clarity. Instead, we left things unsaid, and unsaid words have a way of haunting you. I also need to tell you something important. Even though I'm sad, I don't regret loving you. Not for a second. You taught me patience. You taught me softness. You taught me that my heart is capable of loving deeply. That's not a loss, that's growth. painful growth, but growth nonetheless. Sometimes I wonder if you're happier now, if life feels lighter without us, and I hope truly that it does, because even in sadness, I don't wish you anything but peace. That's how I know what I felt was genuine, because real love doesn't turn into hatred when it ends. It turns into quiet wishes from afar. Honey, my heart is very sad, but it's also slowly becoming stronger, not because I've stopped loving you, but because I'm learning to love myself too. Learning that I deserve someone who stays, someone who chooses me without hesitation, someone who communicates instead of withdrawing, and maybe one day I'll find that. Or maybe we'll find our way back to each other. Life is unpredictable like that. For now, I'm allowing myself to feel everything, the ache, the memories, the longing, the acceptance, because healing doesn't happen by pretending you're fine. It happens by admitting you're not. And right now, I'm not, but I will be. Honey, if you ever feel a sudden wave of sadness and don't know why, maybe it's because somewhere at the same time, I'm thinking about you too. Maybe hearts don't disconnect as easily as people do. My heart is very sad, but it's still grateful. Grateful for what we had, grateful for the love we shared, grateful for the lessons we learned. And even though I'm carrying this sadness quietly, I'm also carrying the truth. You mattered to me, you still do, and that will always be part of my story.